Just setting up the live stream. I won't be long. Okay, we're looking good so far, and I've got the volume turned on a little bit on the airplane. So we are in the India Fox Techo SEPECAT Jaguar in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. We're at China Lake in the US, and we're going to fly the Sidewinder low-level route. So this is one of the routes used by the US Air Force to train a low-level flight. So it goes out from the Kern Valley and goes north from there up through the Sequoia National Forest and then up through the valleys and then back down again. So we'll go past a place called the Jedi Transition along the way, or Star Wars Canyon as it's commonly called. So it should be good fun. But first of all, we've got to get the Jaguar set up and fired up. So we're sat inside the aeroplane. First things first, let's go and turn on the tablet. Go and get rid of the ladder away from the aeroplane. And we've got the covers and the chocks on, which is rather interesting. I'm guessing if we go and have a look outside. So if we go to walk around mode, I think there's some of this we can do from the walk around. Yeah, we can. Let's make sure we've got the covers taken off of everything around the aeroplane, ready for it to be put into the sky. So Shift C brings us back into the cockpit, or sorry, from the external view. There we go, we've got rid of the covers and the chocks. We need to give it a hefty amount of fuel, I would imagine. So we're going to go over here and put some drop tanks on. And should we have all of the drop tanks actually? And we'll go and fill everything up. So if we go here and here and this one and this one, we're going to be very heavy on takeoff. I wonder if this goes red if it's beyond its limits. I don't think it is. It's just a very, very fat aeroplane for takeoff today. Do we want to put some missiles out on the pylons? Oh, I've only got bombs. This is the RAF version, so it was never used for air-to-air. Yeah, we won't bother with the bombs. So you will see now we are very, very heavy, but we're going to need the fuel. So if we're going to do a lap of the Sidewinder route and then carry on down to Miramar, it's quite a long way. So we'll see how we get on. Okay, so let's go and get the airplane up and running. I'm going to be following a checklist to get the airplane up and running. So if I just pop open a browser, I can show you it. If we go to ko-fi.com and ko-fi.com/JohnBeckett/shop, I forgot to put a link in the notes. I'll try and pin one afterwards. And then type in Jaguar, and it should come up. There it is. And we've got a procedure here. So if I go then into Google Drive, I'll show you the original of the procedure. So there we go. Here's the Jaguar. And it's basically a procedure telling you exactly what to do throughout the aeroplane, which views to use, you know, where to look, what to click, what to turn, what to flip to get the airplane ready for flight. And that's what I'll be following for the next couple of minutes. Okay, so we've done the bit with the EFB. We've removed the covers and the wheel chocks, and we've got rid of the EFB out of the way. So down here, we're going to go and turn the master battery switch on and cover it. And you immediately get a warning, which we can cancel. And then we can remove the pins. So let's go and see if we can move the throttles. Yes, we can. We're going to go and put the anti-collision lights on. So I believe they're over here. Yeah, there they are. So switch them all the way forwards. And prepare for engine start. So let's go and can we get rid of the yoke for the moment, just so we can see what we're doing. So we want the hydraulic pump to auto or middle. The reason for doing this, so there's a hydraulic pump. It has to go into the auto position. we need to look outside. Yeah, they're already open. The exhaust port for the APU is underneath the... that's interesting, actually. I have not got any... Oh, here we go, they're working now. It just took a while for it to wake up on my controls. We need to open the spoilers to be able to, exit the hot air from the APU. So having done that, we can go and turn this back off for the moment. So, we've just jammed the spoilers open. Okay, so further down here, so we can press Shift and 3 to come down here, which gives us a bit nicer view. Put the pump, feed and transfer to on or up. You notice it says transfer T. I think that might be a typo, I'm not sure. Maybe not. And cage it. And then APU to on. And then the start button can be pressed and it will light up and you'll hear the APU fire up. Bleed air can go to start. And then we can go, if I'll do this from further away so we get to see the dials as we do it. So we're going to go engine 2 start. You'll see it coming up. And when it gets to 50%, we're going to go and put the alternator on. So alternator and rectifier over here. So waiting for it to get through 50. Alternator on. Rectifier on. Can't go any further than that. Oh, here we go. They can go further. That's a reset, by the way. So they'll flick forwards and then back again. And we can do the same for engine number 1, or the left engine. So start the engine, RPM comes up. Let's just check the volume levels. I'm quite loud in my headset here, so yeah, I'm going to turn it down a little bit for you guys, so you can hear me over it. Okay, so alternator and rectifier. And then the APU can go to off now. The air start can go to vent. And the canopy can now be closed, so we'll go and sit up a little bit. And I think we just pull up here and can pull the handle down, there we go. And then lock it in position. So then on the right hand side of the cockpit we should have the pressurization valves. And I'm trying to remember where this is. Oh yeah, it's over here. So let's lower ourselves down a bit. So we've got to slide this basically all the way to the left. And then put the air conditioning onto on. And then the horizon switch, so we'll just move the views around a little bit. There's a little bit of jumping around in the cockpit to do things. There we go, you can see it coming alive. So then the F3, F4 pumps at the top right need to go to... I'm just checking my notes here. F3, F4 pump, section top right, right of the fuel, pumps to auto or middle. So just making sure. Here's the fuel, here's the pumps, and it's on auto already. That's okay then. Then hydraulic pumps. Top left below the alarm. So here we go, hydraulic pump needs to go to auto now and then close it. The VOR ILS, so we're going down this side of the aeroplane now. So here's the VOR ILS. We need to rotate this around to M. And then TACAN, same deal, but we go here and move it around to record receive, which is that one, or rec or receiver, sorry, not record. IFF goes to standby, so that's here. And we can prepare to taxi. So we'll make sure those spoilers are now retracted. And then we're going to go find the taxi light switch, which I believe is over here somewhere. Here we go. And let's go and have a look and see where exactly we're taxiing to. So we're at China Lake. There's no wind. There isn't a breath of wind, which is incredibly unusual. So maybe we'll go along the Alpha taxiway down to runway 32 then. So we want to go right out of here and then left. So off the parking brake. Let's go and turn the head tracking on. While we're on our way, should we go and turn the I can never remember how this works. There we go. So we've got the reticle showing up. So we'll very, very carefully go and taxi out past all these very expensive aeroplanes in our very, very heavy Jaguar. So we're going to prepare our flaps for takeoff. There's F-35s everywhere. So this is China Lake, by the way. You can download this from FlightSim.2. This is actually a 2020 scenery, but it seems to work fine. So this is Alpha taxiway. We're going to follow it down to the end. There's some nice Easter eggs hiding around the airfield. You can see there's some F117s around the back of this hangar. You'll see them come into view in a moment. Oh, something we meant to do is come into here, go to fuel and reset the totalizer, which tells us how much fuel we have left. So it's a basic countdown gauge, but it uses the fuel flow. You see there's an F117 just pointing out of that back of that hangar. If we move our view round, you can see there's another one over there. Yeah, so retired my foot. There's a story I've told on the channel before. I had a couple of guys emailed me. One of them is one of the guys that took the photograph of the F117 that passed down the valley. So yeah, they got in touch with me and told me the story. It's a brilliant story. You can find it online. There's a wonderful photo of an F117 passing by at low level, and the pilot is doing like a rock signal with his little finger and thumb out of the cockpit because he spotted them on the ground with their camera. And this was many years after the F117 was supposed to have retired. So obviously they were using it for some sort of either sensor testing or who knows what. There was a couple of F-16s high overhead circling. Let's go this way. I forgot how heavy this was. I went and threw it into that turn and nearly got myself in trouble then. Okay, so that's the landing lights on. We've done the HUD mode. We haven't calibrated the altimeter. Let's go do that. Flaps are already done. Pitot heat is not on yet. That's usually why we still have a light on down here. Let's go do that. IFF. So let's turn head tracking off for a second while we just sort this out. IFF can go to norm. Landing lights are already on. The aircon can go back to off now. So I'm guessing it has some sort of ram air system once you're at speed. Okay. Afterburner on. We're going to drink a lot of fuel just to get off the runway. There's a bit of a crosswind. So we're at full military power at the moment. Let's go and head tracking on. Get the airplane trimmed out a little bit. Look at the alpha angle on the direction of travel versus... Yeah, it's... Obviously you've got angle of attack here, look, about 3 degrees at the moment. Got G meter this side. So we're just climbing out, gathering some speed. Let's get the map up. So we want to be travelling about 245 degrees over to China, not China Lake, Lake Isabel. So we're watching the compass there. So we're more or less straight line it. Coming up through about 300 knots. Goodbye to China Lake for the moment. And we'll be into the hills fairly quickly. So I think, yeah, that's Inyokern down there. That's where you will find Tom Cruise's hangar from Maverick at Inyokern. So I'm pulling the throttles back to 75%. See how we're doing on the map. Yeah, we're looking pretty good. Shifting, aren't we? Throttle's back to 50% for the moment, just while we're descending. We're in no hurry today. There's no point wasting fuel. I say we're in no hurry, look, we're doing 450 knots downhill. The Jaguar's pretty quick in a straight line, even with stores. So if we have a look, we should see the lake out ahead of us. Now we want to go around to, yeah, you can see the lake just there, look. We want to go around to the left side of it to enter over the dam in the corner, which is the entrance into, it's one of the visual reference points for the Sidewinder low-level route. There is a little bit of wind up here, we're being thrown around. Yeah, 25 knots, look. It's interesting, isn't it? So it was absolutely flat calm down at China Lake, but up in the hills there's some wind whistling around. So, as I said a moment ago, this is Isabella Lake. I think I might have called it Lake Isabel, but yeah, Isabella Lake. So, Kern Valley is just over here, behind this hill. So, popular GA airstrip. You're not allowed to fly directly down that valley though as part of the route because of noise abatement rules. Obviously they don't take kindly to supersonic aircraft whistling past. Okay, so there's the dam. So as we come through the dam, we want to be heading north, obviously, or thereabouts, 350 degrees. So we'll start our right turn. And there's the 350, and we're on our way. So obviously you can pick your way through these hills at extreme low level if you want to. I'm going to wait until we just get past the Boone Valley, which is down there. Not Boone Valley, Kern Valley. So Kernville Airport is just down in the hollow down there. So when we clear these hills, the first, or the turning point in the distance, is a mountain formation called the Needles that are actually modelled in the simulator with an accurate piece of 3D modelling. Quite cool, you get a nice view up here, look, of the Kern Valley. So I think the Needles is this hill here, but it will draw it in when we get a bit closer. Let's just fall down then. Now we're going past Kernville. Coming up to 400 knots, whistling along. So you just need to be mindful of the direction you're going. So we're heading for, we want to be going about 350 degrees overall. So we keep an eye on it every time you make a few corners. Yeah, if we come out of the top of here, look, I'll show you where we're going. So we can see it. There it is. See the rock formation on top of the mountain there? That's our turning point. So we can take whatever route we like to get there. Whoa! Bang! So what happened there, I'm going to do that again to show you. That's the Jaguar being the Jaguar. We overloaded the wings. Watch. I'm doing it now. I have lost all control of the aeroplane. Yeah? And that's what happened. You have to be very careful. The tornado can do the same thing to you. So I'm now working on getting some speed. I can't get any speed back. So I'm going to lift us back into the air and show you that again. I'll do it at altitude this time, so you can see the needles over there. So, watch the airspeed. See, look how low our airspeed has become. We were full throttle. It just shows you how careful you have to be. So as soon as we start overloading the wings, look at it falling off. We're at full throttle. And we're about to lose it. Look, it's flick rolled. And that's death. Unless you, yeah, that was full right aileron to stop the roll. And now we're not going to get out of the dive, look. Same problem again. We've just got away with it. But notice how quickly that got into a really, really serious situation. So now we've done the demonstration of that, we'll carry on in a sensible manner. The tornado's good at that as well. If you're fully loaded and you try and pull any kind of high alpha maneuvers, you can get into trouble really quickly. And it will just drop a wing and then it becomes basically a brick. So the plane's fantastic. I'm just reading the live stream comments there. It's just I wanted to demonstrate that, having got into trouble myself, look, quite innocuously. You have to be careful. Okay, so we were whistling in towards our turning point. So we want to be going 40 degrees once we come past the needles. So this is the needles. Turn to 40 degrees. And again, we can pick a low-level route if we wish and go winding through the canyons. So just to demonstrate that again, while we're up here, watch the Jaguar. Look at the vortices forming. It doesn't like it. Okay, wanted 40 degrees, didn't we, or thereabouts? We're more or less there. Let's have a look at the map. That's interesting. I'm just looking at the compass and how it relates to attitude. So watch the compass as I'm rolling out there. So there's 40 degrees. So we can obviously pick a reference point. That low point in the hills is a good one. But if you turn the plane, look what happens to the compass. So you need to be careful of that. As long as you know it behaves in that way, you're fine. wind through these hills a little. The trees look strange around here, don't they? It's obviously a seasonal thing going on with the growths on them. Okay, so can we pick? Yeah, here we go. We're aiming for pretty much the right place. So what I'm looking for is this low point here, which will lead into a valley as we roll in over the top. There's another one there that cuts into a gully down into the desert floor. Going 500 knots. I'm going to cut the throttles back. Getting a bit fast. So there is a wrecked bridge here in the real world that is a visual reference point for continuing on up the valley from it. I think it appears here in the real world. The scenery looks amazing, doesn't it? Obviously you can see there's a line of pylons here which we're going to try and stay the hell away from. Bit problematic though, there's a lot of pylons just in this corner of the lake. There's an old airstrip here. No, I haven't got the Mamu Design pylon mod installed. Is it available for 2024 yet? Okay, let's just climb away from these pylons before we run into trouble. So we're flying up the valley and there's a lake a bit further down the valley. You see we're shifting, aren't we? We're almost there, look. And then we turn 60 degrees when we get to... There's a dam on the edge of the lake. Or water processing facility, I should say. $4,400 kilograms of fuel left. A lot. But then if we're going to carry on all the way down to Miramar, we'll need it. If we're running at 50% power at the moment. See the water is just coming here, so let's have a look at this aeroplane from the front. Look at it moving around in the wind. The land rises up just here. We're going to be a little bit careful about that. Okay, so you'll see there's a straight edge on the corner of this water. If you look at it from outside, you'll see it really clearly. There you go, look. Okay, 60 degrees we're after. And again, you can have all the fun and games flying low level through these canyons as we go cross country now between the valleys. So we can lower down into this prairie almost, isn't it? Just have to be careful, remember we're heavy, so our ability to change direction, especially in a Jaguar, is not great. So we're doing just over 300 knots, let's up the power. Just doing that one turn lost us 100 knots. Okay, so here's the other side of the course we're just rolling down into. You can see why this is used so much as a low-level training area, can't you? It's very good. Okay, so we carry on into this far corner of this valley. Let's show you where we're going. So we're going to go along here, turn right. There's like a big, what would you call it? Mud? Or the remnants either was a lava flow or from the remnants of the Ice Age, but I'm guessing this part of the world is mud flows, isn't it? Like here. If you saw this in Europe, you would think it was from a glacier. But obviously not this part of the world. So we roll over the top of here and you'll see what I'm on about on the ground. See what I mean? So where the water drains down out of the hills and cuts through the soft sandstone, I imagine it cuts these amazing patterns into the rock. Okay, so then we turn along the next valley. I think we're headed for that top corner over there. Not that I've done this before. Let's just check on the map once we're under control. Yeah. So we're aiming for that far corner. What's this mark that I'm just flying towards? Should we buzz it, whatever it is. Is it a hut or is it a... some sort of shelter from the heat, I imagine. There's another one. Found another one. Okay, we're doing 500 knots almost exactly. Running at 75% power. We're down to just over 4,000 kilograms of fuel left. But we were very loaded up, remember. So the weight is slowly coming off. I'm saving it though so we can get down to Miramar. Could go a lot faster than this. Okay, so we can see a rock out here. Opposite it is the Jedi transition. So if we lift up into the air, I think it's here, let me just check. Yeah, Panamint Springs. So I'm going to lift into the air. Let's go full throttle to lose not too much speed. And there it is. Can you see that? That's what they call Star Wars Canyon. So I'm going to loop back this way and turn back in towards it, so we have an entrance vector. Obviously we're not going to be able to do it very low level because this aeroplane's not built for doing this. Okay, so here's the entrance. So there is a version of this route that takes you straight across the hills towards this, and it's called the Sidewinder with the Jedi transition. But you'll see lots of videos on YouTube. I think even things like transport aircraft with the crew sitting on the back, you know, with the back door open, going down here at a rate of knots. There have been restrictions put in place in recent years on the lowest level altitude they're allowed to come down here at, after I think an F-18 put itself in the wall a few years ago. So as I said, I'm not going to be able to do much. I'm having to stay high. Look, I can't turn in this, especially with it loaded the way it is. Obviously in a fighter jet you can hug the floor if you want to be an idiot. Okay, so we're carrying on down the canyon towards China Lake again, but we're going to carry on straight past and go for Edwards. And we'll overfly Edwards Air Force Base. So I have got the FlightSim.2 scenery for Edwards installed, so you should see quite a few different aircraft on the ground, like B-52s and B-2s and B-1s, things like that. So you can see we're carrying on down. How are we doing for fuel? 3,800 kilograms, nearly 3,900 kilograms left. We've been quite conservative so far. So I think, yeah, we want to go the right hand side of these rocks and cross over the valley. The HUD's there, I'm just not, it's collimated, remember? And this is a 1990s HUD, or 1980s actually, so it doesn't have a lot of the symbology that the more modern aeroplanes have in their HUD. So you're talking early 80s technology going on here versus the, you know, the Block 50 F-16s from the 1990s obviously brought things on a little bit. The Jaguar was originally designed as a fast jet trainer, but it was so good at doing what it did, especially once it had an engine upgrade, that they turned it into a weapon delivery platform because it, you know, it was so good. It was used for training weapons, but it was so good at it they ended up putting it into service as an attack aircraft. served in the French Air Force and the British, the Royal Air Force for years. There are different HUD modes. Again, you can play with the HUD modes here. So there's the typical navigation one instead of the leading. So you just got the... Notice there's a lag on it, similar to the Tomcat. But it's, you know, it's not... This isn't brilliant technology going on here. So if you see a Tomcat modelled realistically, like the one in DCS, the refresh rate on the HUD is awful. And it doesn't have all of the whiz-bang stuff that the F-16s would have, because obviously it predates them by quite some distance. The later model Tomcats, like the Bombcat, had obviously a massive electronics upgrade. But this is similar to the early Tomcats in that it really doesn't have much. Okay, so we're just coming over the lake here, Searles Valley and the reservoir. So China Lake is off to our right. If we just pop up, we'll see it. I'll just open the engines up. I think that's it over there. Yeah. So there's China Lake. Hopefully I didn't make anyone feel sick doing that. So now we're at altitude. Let's see. We're doing about Mach 0.7. We can always refuel it in the air, I suppose. So we're down to 3,600 kilograms of fuel. Let's level it out. Where's the vertical speed indicator? Here it is. So we're coming up from Mach 0.8. This is not a supersonic aircraft. Or it might be able to in a dash, but not much more than that. But it does have afterburning, so I can show you it. Don't want to waste too much fuel. So we are coming up though towards... Should we have a look? Well, let's go and dash for a little while. So we're coming up towards Mach 1, look. And we've gone supersonic. So how do you navigate with an aeroplane of this era? That's a good question. It has TACAN and VOR. And if you want to coordinate with other people, you have a wristwatch. No, seriously, that is how it was done. There's some really good videos on YouTube of an RAF, I think it was Buccaneers, that took part in Red Flag many years ago. And they basically embarrassed the US Air Force. Obviously there were different teams from different countries and they were doing all sorts of different exercises, but they came in with no radio communication. They planned ahead, timings, speeds, directions, and they came in basically treetop height across the desert floor with all of the radio kit turned off, so they couldn't be easily tracked, and nailed the enemy. They couldn't be, they couldn't stop them. And they were doing it all with just timing, mental arithmetic for speeds and distances, and things like that. So we're coming in towards Edwards, But yeah, go and have a search for YouTube for, I think it's Red Flag with the Buccaneers. It was great fun. It's some really good stories. So the Buccaneer was an ancient-looking ground attack aircraft that the Royal Air Force had for years and years. And the reason they had it for so long was because it was good enough at its job, and they couldn't afford to replace it. Yeah, these days you get these crazy stories like the F-35, don't you, where it's extremely expensive, but there are so many contracts with certain suppliers that they can't cancel it because the legal ramifications of cancelling those contracts would be crippling. Now there's a mine and a half. Or quarry and a half, I should say. We're nearly on top of Edwards, aren't we? Yeah, it's just off to our left. So when we get to Edwards, we'll circle it and have a look at it. And then we'll put the autopilot on for a little while. So you can see there's the runway, the main runway at Edwards right in front of us, and there's the main hangar complex. So if we deviate to the right slightly, I've not come and had a look at the North Base. I'm not sure what they operate from there. I'm guessing there's probably some Easter eggs in the scenery. I was hoping that... Oh no, we are getting a few aeroplanes appearing on the ground, but nothing exotic. I was hoping to see something a bit odd down there. So there's several F-15s there. There's some F-35s underneath there. More F-15s, MAWACS. There's a B2. There's C-17 under there. A couple of C-17s. C-5A. A couple of B-52s. A B-1. Yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff hidden around on this scenery. It's a free download, by the way. More F-15s parked up at the end of the airfield. And there's more in the middle. Should we turn around and go and have a look? And we're getting stall warnings. We've run out of airspeed and talent again. 200 knots. So B1, a couple of old 707s, obviously used for some sort of exotic purpose. Okay, let's go on our way. So which way do we go to get out of here? 190 degrees or thereabouts. And we're going to go down towards the coast to Miramar. Okay, so this Jaguar has a crafty trick hidden inside it. It's got an autopilot. So if we go heading on, autopilot on, altitude. Now what altitude are we at? Coming up for 6,000 feet. Yeah, we've got quite a long drag down towards the Hollywood sign to begin with. I thought that might be fun. So we want to go about 30 degrees or 20 degrees to the... We'll try it. And we'll go take it up to 8,000 feet. About 2,000 feet a minute. So I'm just bringing us round towards the Hollywood sign. Let's turn the view of the AI aeroplanes off. At least then we can admire the view while we're flying along. We don't have to worry too much. Doing ground speed, nearly 600 knots. And we're only at 75% power. So you can see the throttles there, look, we've got a good way to go yet. We can turn this tablet off while we're in autopilot mode, it won't hurt it. So out in ahead of us are the Hollywood Hills. So Hollywood's only 50 miles away from Edwards. You see we're streaking across. There's a Nike missile site up here, look. I wonder if we can spot it. I bet that's it. If you see a cut-in into the hillside, obviously they're very much more obvious in the real world because they've got like fences around them and things. There's one directly above San Francisco in the Marin Hills as well. So there's Los Angeles spread out in front of us. There's the city. Okay, let's come off the autopilot. that is just suburbia for miles and miles and miles. It's crazy, isn't it? It just goes on and on. So I guess there's the observatory, by the way. You can see it directly below us. I think it's an observatory, I can't remember now. It's directly above where the sign is. There it is. Can you see it? So there's downtown LA. Down to 300 knots. How are we doing for fuel? Just under 3,000 kilograms left. So we'll do a pass of the Hollywood sign and then we'll carry on down towards Miramar. Just lowering our altitude a little bit. Look at the trees, they're a bit rubbish. The photogrammetry isn't always great, is it? Okay, let's keep our eyes open then. I'm trying to remember exactly where it is. So we want to do a right turn now. And yeah, we are going towards it. It just doesn't appear until you're almost on top of it. So, to make the trip down towards Miramar a bit more fun, shall we go via the coast and go along past the various islands, and yeah, it'll look a bit prettier, won't it, than just covering normal landscape. Another way to do this would be to do that. Just fly upside down over LA to get a better look. Okay, let's go in over the city just briefly. Barrel in, watch the speed falling off. Look, we're just down to... oh no, we're okay with 400 knots. And if anybody recognises the drainage canals, you remember Greece? Them racing the cars? That's where it was filmed. There's all sorts of horror stories of the start of the cast and crew getting very, very sick from, obviously, you get all kinds of stuff floating down these, and they were driving the cars through the puddles and making those amazing looking scenes with the spray coming up, and yeah, they all got violently ill. Okay, yeah, towards the coast. So if we zoom in, you can see Long Beach and Huntington Beach, Newport Beach. So we'll be there very, very soon. So John Wayne is obviously the main airport down here. It's just down here on the left. We'll be passing it in a moment. Should we drop down to the beach? So we're doing just under 600 knots. So we are moving. We've got time to burn some fuel now, haven't we? How much have we got left? 2,500 kilograms. Okay. Afterburners are on. $2,300 kilograms left. So how far do we have to go to get to... Oh, we're not far away now, look. Miramar's just a little way down the coast. So we could just open it up for a few minutes. So full military power, burners on. Watch the scenery whistle past for a few minutes. Should we climb? So we're doing 550 knots, dropping down to 500-ish. let the aeroplane gradually tip back over. There's a little bit of cloud out towards Miramar. Look at the fuel burn rate with the burners open. That's mad, isn't it? So I've just cut them, look, and even at 100%, look at the difference. So I'll just zoom in on that to show you. Watch the burn rate. So watch the Romanian fuel. Ready? That's 100%. And that's the afterburners. Versus 50%. Okay, let's have a look at the map. Miramar. So when we get to the outcrop, it should be to our left. It's an easy way of knowing about it, isn't it? I'm just resetting all of the views. Might have a bit of a cloudy landing at Miramar. The beautiful blue skies all the way. Can't plan that, can you? So I've got the Miramar scenery installed and I've never looked at it, so we'll find out what's on the ground there. Maybe we do an orbit before we go and line up for landing. Do a military style approach. What direction's the wind? Okay, so it's going to be a crosswind whatever we do. So if we come in from the ocean side and simulate kind of a typical military approach. So we're at 2,000 and a bit 100 feet. And the weather's clear just in time, look, for us to see the airfield. There's the runways. And there's low cloud right over the airfield. You can't even... Well, I can't even, I think the term is for that. Okay, how are we doing for speed? 350 knots. coming out of Gibbs, which is the runway just down the way. I want to have a nosy. Look at all these fighter jets. So that looks like a lot of Ospreys down there as well. There's helis and Ospreys this end. Loads more helis. Oh my word, look at all the fighter jets. So that's, what was it, F-15s, F-22s, F-18s. It's a bit difficult to see them from here. When we land, we'll go and have a proper look. There's some C-130s at this end. That weather really is closing in, isn't it? Jaguar really doesn't like landing in crosswinds. It always judders as it touches down. We still had 1,700 kilograms left. We could have had way more fun. I haven't got the Phantom. Just reading the live stream comments. I haven't got the F4. Part of that is because of I didn't appreciate the way the developer of it treated a number of people quite a long time ago, so I've kept well away from things he's built. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it here, but yeah, the developer didn't do himself any favours. Let's put it that way. That's if it's the developer I think it is. If it's the guy that built the Eurofighter, that's a different story. I'd have to check. But no, I haven't actually had a play with the Phantom. It's a lot of F-18s, isn't it? Is there anything more exotic around? Is that F-35s down the far end, maybe, under the hangars? Go up next to the terminal buildings. Looks like they've done quite a good job with them. Maybe a sneak past the 747 there. That's interesting. Isn't this the NASA one with the laser on top? I didn't think Air Force One had that. There was a test project, wasn't there, in the 80s, where they mounted a laser on top of a 747? But again, this is free scenery, so I'm not going to complain at all about it being a bit sparse here and there. I think it's very good for free. And it certainly looks better than having civilian aeroplanes all over the military airstrip as Flight Simulator would. How many V-22s can you fit on one airfield? There we go. So, can I remember how to switch this thing off? Probably not. trying to remember what I turned on when I got in. There we go, the engines have just run out of fuel. I guess we could give him a ladder, couldn't we? And a GPU. You can hear the engine from it immediately. Oxygen refill. There we go. So hope you enjoyed that. Just a little whiz around the Sidewinder low level and then a quick whistle down the coast to Miramar. So Sidewinder is always good fun. And it's a good way of testing aeroplanes. As you see, we obviously came unstuck when we were winding through the valleys and pushing the Jaguar way beyond its limits. So it's not a, you know, a manoeuvrable aircraft. It's a bit of a sled at the best of times, but it's pretty good at being a sled though, which is why it, you know, survived in active use for so many years. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care.